I love putting these things together and curating. This is my creativity, my expression coming out in true form. And it's taken me a long time to get here. And I mean, 40 years to get here and really go like, okay, that's me. And Mariah was a big part of that journey of me busting out of my shell. I did a boudoir shoot with her on my birthday. And she really opened my eyes to like parts of myself I didn't know existed. And it's just been amazing. So having all of you here to support Cheryl, to support, like, this is what it's about for us. And I'm just really happy to be able to put these things together, whether they be, we're not like, oh, it's got to be hundreds of people. It's got to be this, that. It's the quality of what we're doing and the connections, the true authenticity of it is really what makes it special. So thank you all for coming and braving the rain and bringing the babies and all that. Like, we love all of that. So I appreciate it. And Cheryl, I can't wait to hear what you've got for us today, ladies. So let's talk about it.
I was going to do this with Rachel, my beautiful, amazing business partner who's at home.
Rachel's not
feeling well. I met Rachel. I thought I saw her unmute. I met Rachel probably.
I was saying hi. I'm so sorry.
Rachel, we love you. Feel better.
I have so much FOMO.
So much FOMO, she said.
She has so much FOMO. Rachel will do it again. The thing is, you can always do this again.
Perfect.
No FOMO. That's one of our biggest things at WMW. FOMO, no mo. That's what we call it. No mo FOMO.
So Rachel and I were introduced through friends at the gym, like 4-ish years ago, I want to say. And we had this one random, like, let's go down to the bar with all these moms that had really young babies at home. We were like, we're going to go out. And Rachel came with us. And so it was my first introduction to her. And then I kept running into her at Ancient Peaks, the winery in Santa Margarita, where I frequent, always have, always will. I'm who I am. And then she bought the house just a few doors down from mine, and I would see her out walking her dog and running, and she's so cute. And then started talking to her more and more and realized she was as beautiful on the inside as she was on the outside. And my husband and I, this will kind of come later, but I had a realtor I had worked with in the past, because at this point I was still doing commercial insurance. And I had always I managed all of my transactions I did with this guy. I was such a micromanager and like doing his job for him, like, where are we on this? Where are we on that? And he just, whatever, it just wasn't the right fit for me. So when we found a place we wanted, I called Rachel. I think she tells me I called her on Christmas Day. It's possible. I am who I am. And when I want something, I'm not going to wait. I go. So, and especially at that, time, real estate often is like first one in. It's really important. So, we didn't end up getting that one, but we knew from there that like she was the right fit to work with. So shortly after that, she found a property and we bought it with her and sold our property we had. And she was just blown away by her level of organization and like put it on paper. And if you put it on paper, it's going to happen. And, the way she did it was mind blowing, and how I work. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. So then we start, we're working together day in, day out. When you're buying or selling a house, you're talking to people all the time. And she lived a few doors down. Like every meeting she'd come to do real estate, and I'd be like, here's wine. She's like, stop. I need to be able to think. Stop getting me drunk every time I come up.
Wow. So good.
So we saw that we worked really well. We'll end up like realizing that a very shared passion for like Airbnb and short-term rentals. Like I had been a host for 7 years, and she was a frequent traveler, but her and her husband had the goal to launch them. So we really started like kind of thinking like, oh, we could work together. This could be really good. So we started a business called Better B&B, doing like short-term rental coaching. So helping people like launch. I have 2 women here that will tell you it is a big job to launch an Airbnb. Managing it is also a big job, but it's a lot more manageable than it's just a big step to overcome. And there's so many things to think about. And with my experience, and then Rachel and I are just kind of bougie, both of us, and we like want to elevate the hospitality. I'm sure you've all been to an Airbnb and been disappointed with like the quality of what, and it's like, God, if you just would have done 1, 2, and 3 a little bit different, like it would have been so much better stars.
Yeah.
So we just took that passion and started working together on our short-term rental stuff. And then as the life was being sucked further and further out of my body from my day job, I said, you know what, enough. and I kind of like started looking about what other jobs were out there. I always knew like I'm very employable. I could get a job doing, so anybody's gonna hire me. But in the commercial insurance job, I had a lot of autonomy. So like I basically was running a franchise between Santa Barbara and San Luis County. I was the only agent for the company in this area. I had my manager with me from once a month to once a quarter. Like I just kind of had, as long as I was hitting their goals, they were leaving me alone. But so it was like crazy to consider going back and working for someone, like clocking in, clocking out. Like, how do I do that after having all of this freedom? And then especially I have 3 very young children. So like their needs have to come first. And Alex, my husband, has a very demanding job. He's gone from 7 a.m. till at least 6 p.m. and is on his computer at 5 a.m. and often on it till 9 p.m. You know, hasn't learned balance yet. We're actively discussing it every single moment of every single day.
I love how you said actively discuss.
It is the center of
polite
our
way.
world right now, trying to learn what good enough is and like save it for another day and triaging and all of those things. But so it just didn't make sense anymore for us both to be tethered to like a job like that. So then I'm like, I've wanted to be in real estate since I bought my first condo, because I just, like I said, I managed that transaction and I loved it. It was so fun. And I always have been so nosy in every transaction. Even Rachel, after we bought and sold our house, and I was used to talking to her every day. And then I'm like, tell me what's happening. Every single transaction you're doing, I want to know every detail. Where are we on this? Are we releasing contingencies? Are we like, what's the strategy there? She's like, I can't really tell you this stuff. Because it's confidential. And I'm like, just don't tell me people. Just tell me what's happening. I just really want to know. So then I'm like, well, that feels like the obvious choice is I should move in that direction of this thing I'm really passionate about. So I started the licensing process. I probably went through the online, like the pre-education faster than anybody on earth. I had literally timers set when I could start the next class. So I could just get in, get out, get done. I was licensed in July of last year. And when I started wanting to do this and pursuing it, I started meeting agents that I would work with, because Rachel, my dear friend, was not really eager to work with someone. She's been a solo agent her whole career, and she's very type A and has a way that she does things, and was scary for her to release. I'm speaking for you right now, but I think I'm doing an okay job. She didn't want to work with somebody. She just did it very well by herself. So she sent me in the direction of a couple other agents, and I already had other agents at like other brokerages that I was pursuing, you know, because you need some mentoring. Like, yes, I know it, but like, which form do I use for this? Or, you know, there's just little minute details that are contractual more than doing the job or that. So I interviewed with somebody else, and she was very much like, you can sell 12 houses in the first 6 months if you do everything I say. Like, she was gonna have all these scripts, and it was just gonna be another thing where I'm like hitting a quota. No, I don't ever want to hear the word quota again. And she's like, you'll win if you listen to me. And when she said win, I was like, nope, I'm out, because my commercial insurance job was every year you had to win this sales competition or you're on the block. Basically, you're on the chopping block. So I just couldn't, like, when she said win, I was like, no, I'm out. I don't want anything. I just want to serve my clients, and like, I want to work for myself and my clients, and that's it. I want to win shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Tired of winning.
Because you're already winning.
I
That's
know,
one
I
of the
win.
customers.
My life is
Do
great.
something to
Like, I
win.
don't like define,
I'm
but
winning.
it's like everybody's definition of success is so different.
Yeah.
So, that winning was no longer my definition of success. So then I interviewed with another agent in my office that I ended up working at, and she's a friend of mine, another young mom that I've known for years. And she's like, we are not taking someone else on right now. And Rachel's crazy. She needs to take you. If Rachel's not going to take you, I'm going to take you. Like, we don't have space for you, and I'm going to find space for you. You have to be here. You have to be with Compass. You have to be with us. So she called Rachel when we left that meeting. Was like, you're insane. Stop pushing her away and take her. And thankfully she listened. And we've had like a very organic growth into what the real estate partnership looks like. You know, we thought we'd start by operating like really 2 separate businesses, and she'd just kind of mentor me on the side. And then as time has progressed, like we're actually partners and we're working together, which as a young mom, well, I'm not a young mom. I am a mom of young children. No, I think I'm taking young out now. I'm feeling pretty old. I don't know, I feel pretty old. But my kids are young and her kids are young. So it's, you know, like having that partner to, like, today she had the stomach flu, and she called this morning and she's like, so not only am I not going to be there for Women Making Waves, but we have a client tour this afternoon that you weren't going to go on, but now you're leading it. And it's like, that's fine. I'll take over. And we've set up systems, so it's easy to do that. And I think that every job everywhere should have that. Like every job, every career, every, like how often, so in my corporate world, it's like, so I had one underwriter, and if that underwriter was out sick, my shit just sat in a queue waiting for my underwriter to come back, unless I called the manager and got somebody else on it. And, the new generation that's in the workforce, they don't want to work 5 days a week and be tethered to their desk. They want some flexibility and all of that. And so I was pushing back there, and I was like, why aren't we teaming all our underwriters up? Why isn't there 2 teams and they both work 3.5 days in the office, and like are available the other day and a half if that's necessary from home? Like, let's give some flexibility and some hybrid. And I was laughed out of this meeting, and I'm like, I don't know. I think it was a really great idea personally. Like, I bet those people would all accept less pay in exchange for flexibility and freedom and a team, and not feeling like everything's on your shoulders. Like you can step away without that. So, so I'm really just grateful that we were able to develop that. And, I hope and wish everybody finds a way to get there and find I think one of the things Rachel and I at some point will have to speak on is like growing an organic partnership and
Super important.
and how to do that.
Or
But
even how to be in partnership.
In
Right.
partnership.
right.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. See, there you go, Rachel. That's the next topic is
Mhm.
growing organically, being in partnership, what that looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've been very fortunate with how it's worked, but it's been like a lot of checking your ego at the door and like understanding that
Yeah.
you have something to offer and somebody else has something to offer, and like trying to figure out how to put those together to just be like the best version of yourselves together. Which we're great at. Like I'll watch her pouring over like listings on the computer, looking at every minute detail, and I'm over here doing X, Y, and Z. Like I'm working, like we just have different speeds that we work at, and both are so important.
Yeah.
And the two of us together are really great agent. So
Super agent.
I know, super team. So that's Rachel and our story, but I was gonna go through like how I got into real estate in general. Kind of an interesting story, but in 2012, I had been living with my best friend and her now husband for a while. She and I had lived together, and then he wanted her to move in, and it was like, okay, but we're a package deal, so she's coming too. And we were really just kind of outgrowing that situation. Like they were getting more couple, and I needed space and autonomy to live on my own. So I started looking for a rental, and I found this great place downtown SLO, fit my budget. I applied for it, and she's like, no, I'm not renting to you. And I was like, what the hell? I make plenty of money. Why wouldn't you rent? Like, I didn't understand, I had that corporate job, no expenses. And it's like, no, you need to buy a house. Like you're crazy. Why haven't you bought a house? And I'm like, it wasn't even on my radar to even consider that I should be doing that. So, she's like, you need to call a lender. Okay, I guess, so I call a lender and find out, oh, indeed, I do need to be buying a house. This is better. I was going to pay less in rent. I mean, mortgage, I guess at that point, and so it worked out. So I went forward to buy a condo, and this is where like my first true like experience about who you work with is so important. I got all the way to the finish line of buying this condo, and this was the first time closing cost came up. And I already, like I put every penny of my down payment, I was on a first time FHA loan, so you can't take gifts from anybody, it was all me buying this condo. And so I get to the end, and they're like, okay, so now you need another like $3,000 for your closing costs. And I'm like, huh, where's that coming from? Because you have all my money from
Yeah. I just gave you all my money.
so I'm in like extreme panic. And now like in my heart, like my gut, I knew like I needed to buy this. Like this was a really good investment for me, and I couldn't walk away from it. So I called my mom, and thankfully they were able, like your closing costs can be a gift at that point. So my mom sent the money, and I repaid them afterwards, which was fine. But how did I get to the closing table without knowing that that was an expense that was going to be coming my way? Like I was let down by my lender and my realtor. So that is crazy. And who you work with really, really matters. And like that was one of the things I loved the most about Rachel is she's so like consultative in her you know, her approach to business and now our approach to business, like, we're gonna give you all the information up front and you're gonna understand everything. And I'm even working with, right now I'm selling a house. They're relocating to Tennessee. I'm not familiar with that market. I don't know what home inspections cost there, but I'm like, okay, so let's figure out what's gonna cost for you to buy your next house with this money we're taking from this one. And so, you know, I'm on the horn with her lender and on with her new agent in Nashville, and I'm pushing them like, give me every single expense we could come up against in this purchase process. And it's just so interesting how many people aren't like, she doesn't have that prepared. Like, you could come to me tomorrow and Rachel and I have a document and you're like, this is what you should expect to pay in this process. Now, these fees aren't my fees, but these are fees that you're going to come across during this process. And that's so important to know that information is power, period. I mean, even like the woman telling me to make the call to the lender to see, like, if I didn't have the information that, like, I'm 10 steps behind now than where I would have been. So like, just having information is so powerful. So bought the condo, got in, owed my mom a bunch of money, whatever, fine. I've owed her money my whole life. She literally tells us, when we die, make sure everybody clears their debt before you split everything. I have a spreadsheet for each of you. She's like the most fair woman on earth. She's like, I have a spreadsheet of what each of you owe us. And if we die before you paid us back, make sure everybody's washed before you spread out the money. So, I mean, it's not like we're gonna have a bunch, but it's just funny that she is just that fair. I mean, she's that way too, with like, she lives a lot closer to my sisters, and so she'll help with the kids, but then like, I'll get as many days, but in a chunk of all together, her visiting me and helping with my kids. So it's like very, very fair. I'm pretty sure I fall a little behind because I live far away, but it's fine. It's fine, Mom. I love you anyway.
It's fine.
It's
I'm
fine.
on the
Let it
spreadsheet,
slide.
as long as it's on there.
Yeah, it's like on the spreadsheet. So bought the condo and could have afforded to live there by myself, but why? I had many roommates move in with me there, and they paid over half my mortgage. So I was not house poor, and it really like just put me in a position to pay my mom back, save for the next thing, travel on the weekends and not worry about it. So, like, making a sacrifice there that I didn't have to make, but that I knew could set me ahead was great. And I had some weirdos and I had some really cool people that have become lifelong friends. So that was really awesome. While I lived there, I met my husband and started to get sick. Now, I was sick at this point. So I met my husband in 2012 and I was sick at the time, but we didn't know it was wrong. Almost canceled our first date because I had just a terrible headache and I just didn't want, like, I just didn't have the energy to go, you know, and you're just like,
Yeah.
like, I just don't want to, but my best friend made me. And so I went, and first date was fine. Like, oh yeah, that's worth a second. Second date, it was like, I never want to be away from him again. As long as I live, like, can I put him in my skin? Kind of a feeling. And so, and we've really done that, since then. So that's been good, but he did not want to live in my condo. He was living with family and saving money. He had relocated from Arizona, and they gave him the opportunity. They're like, live here for a year and just put your money away. And then he lived there for like 4 years. But he put a lot of money away, which is great for us. Another sacrifice that, you know, people wouldn't necessarily want to make, but these little things that we're willing to sacrifice can really put us ahead in life. So, oh, I had a quote here.
I guess it's raining.
Yeah. So according to a recent study from the Federal Reserve, the median net worth of a US homeowner is 40 times higher than that of the median net worth of a renter. Wow. A median net worth of a homeowner is also 2 times the median of the net worth of most US national households. So just like that step into homeownership really, really changed everything for me from a lifelong perspective. So met Alex, he didn't want to live in the condo. He wanted more space and all of that. And I wanted to live in Santa Margarita. We started shopping together. First, he was shopping by himself when we first met and realized he couldn't buy without his hot girlfriend. So, put that away and started shopping with me.
Oh my God, it's so great.
I remember we lost a bidding war on a house down here in San Luis Obispo. It was like the tip top of our budget, but it had like an outbuilding in the back that we were like, we could turn this into a little studio, and now we've got rent, and now it's okay that we're at the top of our budget. We can make that work. But mind you, I was sick. and I was not well, and I like was really, really struggling. I was put on a really high dose of prednisone for 6 months, and it just like changed who I was, where I'm normally this person. I like couldn't talk to the grocery store clerk. I had such bad social anxiety, and I mean, by 1 o'clock every day, migraine, couldn't have light, couldn't have sound. I'm still trying to work that corporate job through this. Little flexibility in the beginning, then they did not get so flexible towards the end, but they had a business to run. It is what it is. So we decided to, we were in this bidding war, and I had sold my condo by this point. And so I had a closing date coming up, whatever. And we lost the bidding war over like this stupidest, like he wanted a concession from the seller, but we were in a bidding war. You don't get concessions in a bidding war. And I knew that then, and this was his first experience, and he was just so nervous, and he really dug in, and he's like, no, I'm not making that concession. Okay. And we lost it. And I'm like, look, I'm going to be homeless in 45 days.
Yeah.
And I realized that you are living with family with no expiration date, but I don't want to move into your family's house and live in a different bedroom than you.
Yeah.
Like, that's
No
that's
bueno.
not gonna work for me. I lived by myself for a while. I could do that. So the next day, this property in Santa Margarita came on the market, and we went and looked at it, and it was like perfect. And I was like, no bullshit. We're offering like, just put your pride away and shut up and get on. Like, let me show you how we do this. So we got the house, and
Yeah.
it was great. We ended up taking the roommate that I had in the condo with me. She had been, she's a lifelong friend. Now she's now in a lifelong relationship with somebody from my hometown. So I really, really got a hold of her. Still talk to her all the time, and it's been amazing, but she moved in with us there, and it was great. And again, so now we've got a big portion of our mortgage paid. So that was really great. After that, we took in traveling nurses, we took in friends, we took in strays, like, oh, this person just needs like 3 months between whatever. She's a friend of mine. Would you take her in? Like, we just were willing to do that because we knew that it was putting us in a position to really, what we were doing with that money is putting it back into the house to make the house ours and make it what we want. So, I mean, we would even do Airbnb where we would let people sleep in a room inside our house, like not private, just come on in, whatever. And it was always a great experience, except for one weird thing. And even that wasn't that weird, but they did take all the toilet
There's
paper.
always one.
They used like a dish I had out for like rings or keys, and they like put water in it. I'm pretty sure daughter gave daddy a sponge bath. It was just weird. It's a really weird situation. But it only happened once. Otherwise, it was fine.
Makes for a great story.
Yeah,
It's a story.
It's fine.
It's a story.
Yeah, we're all still alive. It
We
was
survived
okay.
that.
They never were there alone. Like literally my house cleaner ended up coming that morning, and I was like,
God.
don't leave until they're gone.
Yes.
Call me if
Watch.
you need me to come
Stay.
back. It's just weird. So we survived, but then we started getting closer to the point where we wanted to start our family, and we knew that we were no longer going to welcome guests inside of our home like that.
Wow.
And so we had to get creative. So we had a double deep garage, and Alex and I both have good vision on these kinds of things. And I was like, we could take that back half of the garage. There was already a bathroom in the garage, which is weird, but great. And I was like, so let's make it like a apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. So we did that. And it was beautiful, and it was super fun. And it was a good, like, learning on like a construction project. We did minimal at the condo, but this was like our first big one. And it went great. And we basically made like a hotel room and started renting that out on Airbnb. And there was months where like wildflower, like this year it's going to be crazy in Santa Margarita because all the wildflowers,
Oh, yeah,
like
the rain.
we were booked every single day. It more than paid our mortgage by
Wow. Wow.
just to, so we were paid back within a year. And then it was just like to have that creativity and that vision, and then the execution of it, like it really did change our life. So, we kind of, when we were traveling, when we were pretty new together, we were reading this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one of the things it says is like, your assets should make you money. And we've just really always held true to that with our assets. So like, we won't own a home that we can't, or property that won't generate something for
Income.
us. And that became really relevant when I was diagnosed with the kidney disease. I underwent treatment literally the day after we closed on that house in Santa Margarita, or the week after. I went out on disability leave for a year. Because the prednisone, I was off of it, but I went into adrenal fatigue. So I had no energy, non-localized pain. So one day my shoulder, one day my leg, at like by noon every day, lights off, sound off, can't really function. I just couldn't, and my company was getting very much less patient with me. And so it was like, kind of tap out on disability or get fired. So it was like, well, I'll take the disability leave.
Hell yeah.
I'll take that behind door number 2, please. So I did that for the year, but that was really like eye-opening for us in that, like, if I was a major breadwinner in our family. If I can't do that, we need always to be able to bring in money so that we're okay. And I don't want, it's not fun for one person to carry the financial burden for a family. That's scary. So just always wanted to be able to do something when we had the condo, the motivation for all these things was like success and wealth. Now we were motivated by fear and like protecting ourselves. So, and it's just remained like, it has shaped everything we've done since then. Like I'll take on these alternate jobs when I was still doing this corporate 6-figure job. I'm like, oh, I'll be a local coordinator for the au pair company. That sounds fun. And like, it'll bring a little bit of income in, and it has, and then it's grown exponentially. And like, I'll do the short-term rental coaching. Like, it'll be nice to have a little bit of money over here to do this, a little bit of money over here to do this, and like, just sock it away like a squirrel in case we need it. Let's see. Also, just being unwell for a period of time, your goals shift a lot to like, I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
And I just want to have good quality of life.
Yeah.
And I want to feel well above everything else. So like, just everything kind of changes with all of that. So we got kid ready, we got the house ready, we did the Airbnb, we put a ton of sweat equity into that house, which is major. Sweat equity is another like really great way to like catapult yourself into the next. Like, we sold that house tremendously better than what we bought it. And we had a ton of appreciation, not only because of time, but because of that sweat equity and the vision that we had. Like, we bought a 3-bedroom house, we sold a 4-bedroom house. We bought a house with like tiny closed off kitchen, and like, we had the vision to blow out this wall and blow out that wall and do all of these things. And a lot of weekends when I would have much rather had my husband co-parenting with me, he was, working at the house and doing all the things that really put us ahead and put us in a good position. Now, thankfully, we, each thing we've bought has been a little bit of a stepping stone. And now it's easier for us to say, we can hire that out. And that, because with 3 very young children, my kids are 5, 3, and 2. So time is money. And I don't want to co-parent. I don't want to solo parent. I much prefer co-parenting. So on the weekends, I really like to have them around. So Rachel found us. Sunset Ranch is what we call it. It's our property on 80 acres in Santa Margarita. We've got like what do you call that? Like a valley right in front of us where the sun sets right down it. And it's really remarkable. In the rain, it's sure a pain in the ass on the driveway. We have a mile dirt road to get to our house, and one day last week, Alex left.
You guys have done a
August.
great job of direction.
We're
stuff to
trying.
get to your house though.
We're trying. And actually we're like envisioning like, where can we cut a new road
Yeah.
that maybe could be better than this? But last week Alex left with my 5-year-old, take her to kindergarten, and turned around, and he walked back in the door like 3 minutes later, and I'm like, and he changes, puts on coveralls and goes out. He's like, mudslide, had to move a tree and a bunch of mud with the tractor before any of us could leave the property. So, I mean, again, it's sacrifices. Like, literally the property we bought is not for everybody. Like, in fact, it sat on the market during the very, very hot market in 2021, I think, because it's not for everybody. You had to have a vision to want to buy that piece of property. So when we were looking for a new place, I was adamant, like, we're not making a lateral move ever. We're going to step up every single time we make a move. So that means we need rentals that are not inside our house or attached to our house. I need to be able to rent things without as much work as what, because with the 3 little kids, an attached Airbnb, those kids are noisy. And so I'm always stressed. Yeah.
Yeah, pay them.
Well, mine were young enough, or mine were too young to pay.
But yes, it's great. It's so calm.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Pretend and we have guests.
I gotta do that. So it was just like, we needed to make a move up. So the property we bought had a mobile home on it in addition to the primary residence. And then we had a vision of like, we can move a shipping container, like those shipping container homes.
Mhm.
We were gonna move one of those onto the property, which we did do. We've set up a couple RV spaces. So we just have all of these things that can bring in revenue and like more than pay our mortgage.
Mhm.
So that led us to be where we were last year when I was like up to here with the corporate job. And I'm like, I just can't anymore. And I don't think I have to. And so ran all the numbers, looked at everything. You know, when you don't have a mortgage or a rent, you're in a lot better position to like make some sacrifices and make changes. So I quit the corporate job and really doubled down on the local childcare coordinator. Like my income went from $600 a month to like $2,500 a month just by giving it a little extra attention.
Mhm.
And I just feel like, so when I was looking back at everything I was going to talk about today, I was like, oh, my theme that I realized is pay attention to the things the universe is putting in front of you, because it is putting things in front of you to choose the path that you should be taking. So I quit the job and doubled down on the cultural care. Rachel and I started taking on more of the short-term rental clients, and then got my license to do the real estate with Rachel. So the choices Alex and I have made are not for everyone, but they're for the creative and the, you know, and there's other ways to be creative too. Like you've been super creative with what you've done. You've done very creative with what you've done. I'm sure everybody has, but so I'm probably already talking to my people that are listening to what the universe is telling you and making sacrifices in places. I think that's just maybe
It's also good to hear,
entrepreneurship.
though, even though we do these things.
Yeah.
It's the purpose of this too, these wisdom talks, is that you have your own set of experiences. That it's good to hear from your perspective. There's going to be a nugget in there or something that we might go, oh, wait a minute. I didn't realize that. Okay, she had that experience. There's something there for me. There's
Mhm.
always a takeaway.
Yeah.
So even though we have our own creativity going on, there's still
Right.
something. that
And just
you're saying.
recognizing that like,
Yeah.
like that's what's happening is the universe is, so I heard something recently, like things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me.
Mhm.
And that was like, wow, that is so great when you can do that little tiny reframe to pay attention that things are happening for you. And that feeling of like, everything happens for a reason. Like before we bought Sunset Ranch, there was another property in Santa Margarita we really wanted, and we bid on it and we lost. And Alex was devastated. And every single person that talked to him was like, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And he's like, literally, one more person says that, I'm gonna throat punch them. Like, I'm so tired of hearing that everything happens for a reason. He's like, I might know it, but I just don't want to hear it right now. But then we ended up, that was 1 acre. Now we're on 80. Like his dream has come true by us not getting that. So it just, but it can be hard in the moments. Like, why is this happening to me? Reframe, this is happening for me. Maybe I don't see it right now, but I'll see it later. I mean, even like, so the kidney disease, like I could very much have gone into for me. I have met amazing people. I have learned valuable lessons. Like who knows where my life would have gone if we hadn't have found that, or if I didn't get that, you know, so I wouldn't trade anything for where I am right now. And there's more coming, which is like and knowing that there's more coming is, we're not done. We have so much more to do. So, grateful for the opportunity for Rachel to have found this property for us. And then that gave me the freedom to really change our life tremendously. Literally 12 years with the insurance company, and probably the last 5 since I had kids, it just no longer served me. So it was really a relief to walk away from that. So lessons from my real estate journey are like getting to where we are, because that's really fueled our wealth and my passion too, because then I ended up just, now this is what I do. But you've got to make sacrifices to get ahead. Knowledge is power. So knowing that I was in a position to buy that first house was great. When I wanted to quit my job, like knowing, like I put everything down in a spreadsheet and like knew what I was bringing in and what I was putting out and where I needed to be to quit the job, and like having that down on a piece of paper and being able to see that was information that I needed to make the move. And if I hadn't taken the 20 minutes it took me to build that spreadsheet, then I could still be there doing that, because I wouldn't know that I could have done this. And then also just who you work with is very important. So make sure you find the people that connect with you on your intellectual level and your, mental level, and find those people and stick with them. So the other thing that we talked about that I would discuss today is just like motherhood, because I'm doing all of this while being a mom to 3 little girls. So I had 3 very high risk pregnancies. I had 4 pregnancies. The day we found out that I had kidney disease, we also found out I was pregnant. and I needed to undergo treatment. And if I had forgone the treatment and tried to have the pregnancy, very high likelihood we would have lost the baby and potentially me. So we made the very difficult decision to terminate that pregnancy. And then I spent several years just trying to get well enough because I never wanted a baby like I did then, like I always knew it was coming. It was something I would do, but I didn't feel it on the like guttural level that I felt once I had a baby inside me. So, and a partner that I wanted to have a family with. So, that was very difficult and I still grieve it, but I talk about it for a couple of reasons. One, because that was a healthcare decision that was made. Period. End of story. Like reproductive health is healthcare. It's nobody's fucking business. Number two, like it's not anything that I want to ever feel ashamed of. It was a very difficult decision. I don't wish it on anybody. And it was part of our story. And number three, that baby deserves to be known about and loved. My other girls, once I was well enough to, I basically like spent several years just getting as healthy as humanly possible. And given my condition, like, although I remember I like reapplied for life insurance before I had kids and I was like, everything was as good as it gets with my labs. And the underwriter came back at me and she's like, well, once these numbers improve, like maybe we could consider it. And I was like, oh no, those are excellent. This is like as good as it's gonna get. She's like, all right, well then you're probably out. So no life insurance for me. Thankfully I got some before I was sick, but not enough. But it's just, so spent all those years getting really, really healthy. Got pregnant with August, my oldest, and it was very high risk. I spent literally 1 to 2 days a week at the doctor's office. I had ultrasounds from week 16 to week 26 every single week to monitor the baby. We never found out gender. So it's kind of funny, like baby inside with baby. And once they're outside, it was August, Emmy, or June. But like, they're kind of almost separated because they were just baby. And I don't know if some part of that was like, it was very high risk for stillbirth. So there was some distance between the pregnancies and I. And I did a lot of therapy trying to like not be that. And I remember she told me like, it's going to hurt either way, whether you connected with the baby or you didn't connect with the baby. So like, you may as well connect. But because baby number one never got, like it was a secret for us because my husband was ashamed and he came from a very Catholic family and it was, we were very much judged by them and he didn't want to talk about it. So it was kind of a secret for a long time. Plus we were just had all this other stuff going on at the same time. There was so much noise around. When I got pregnant with the other girls, I felt like even if I lose them, I want them to be known about and loved. So now after having all the kids, like I talk about that baby because that baby deserves love. It didn't get to be here with us, but it's here with us. However that happens, however you believe. So lived at the doctor every single pregnancy at 32 weeks. I was admitted to the hospital, told I was going to have the baby. And every single time like my blood pressure recovered after spending 2 days just sitting still. And then I would be put on bed rest and I made it to 37 weeks all 3 times. Got pregnant very early after each kid. So 12 months after I had August, I was pregnant with Emmy. 9 months after I had Emmy, I was pregnant with August or June. So the 3 kids are 38 months apart from oldest to youngest, which is insanity. Maura's crazy also. How close are yours?
It was 14 months. 14 months. Yeah. It's just a lot to have kids that like the baby now, my youngest is a little over 2 and she's still such a baby to me, but it's crazy when I look at August or Emmy, they both had to grow up to be the toddler and not still the baby at that point. So like, it's just weird to have them that close in age. And like, it is a mental struggle. I am medicated on Cymbalta, used to be Zoloft. Like postpartum depression is real. Motherhood was not what I expected. Like, I don't know, you just have this vision that it's going to be just so snuggly and wonderful and amazing, which it is. And it's really fucking hard. And like, you say goodbye to who you are as an individual. And now you're always a mom first and somebody's needs are always there. In addition, like you still have needs and it's just not as like,
magical as you see in the movies or whatever it might be, wherever we all got this vision of what motherhood was going to look like. That wasn't it. I had 2 colicky babies. Alex would come home from work and August and I would both be crying on the floor. Like it was just a fucking mess. Thankfully, I had a village and I would call a friend and say, you need to come take my child. You need to take them on a walk. They won't stop crying.
Yeah.
I need a minute. I just need a fucking minute. I remember the first time that I did it and Alex was home with me. She came over and got August, like as Alex was getting home, because it was clear I was like at the bottom. And she took August and Alex and I hugged for a few minutes, whatever. And then I just went through the pile of mail that had built up for the last 2.5 months. And it was such a major achievement. It was just crazy to feel like something so simple I haven't been able to do for 2.5 months because I have a crying baby all day, every day. And so I did get medicated after that. A girlfriend looked at me and said, you are not thriving. You are unhappy more than you are happy. Like, let's call the doctor. And started taking steps to get well. And it did. Within a month, I was myself again. I like recognized me again.
Yeah.
So I'm an advocate for like, talk to your doctor, talk about it, check on the people that just had babies. Like this is,
Yes.
it is lonely. We were
Yes.
not this, I'm going to speak on more of things, but we were not meant to, like they say it takes a village because it takes a village. Yet all of us live in these single family residences without our
And your
village.
families are separated.
Like we're
a lot.
all independent little pods and like
I know.
somebody's at work all day. And then once you go back to work as a mom, like now you're at work all day and you feel torn because do you want to be home or do you want to be with baby? And it's hard. So, I hope that we see a change in our culture in the coming years where there is a little bit more of like a village. Like, where's the village? Do they just show up or like, do I call someone?
Kind of have to call them in. I
Yeah.
think in this culture, definitely you have to call them in.
Yeah. So, and
They're there. They're
I
there.
would bet that when we lived more in like tribes and villages, there was less postpartum depression, there was less loneliness.
Of
Like
course.
that's what it comes from, I think. Like there should be, and I've listened to this on podcasts with like archaeologists or who studies humans, anthropologists,
Mhm.
like there should be 30 people in a village that a baby can look to and trust. But in ours, there's mom and there's dad and there's maybe caregiver and grandma and grandpa sometimes. And it's just, so all the needs are directed to
Yeah.
mom or dad. And I like, when I like lose it the most is when like I have a need. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to eat. I have something like I have a phone call I need to do. I'm right in the middle of drafting an email that my brain is on. And now child number 1 has a need, child number 2 has a need, child number 3 has a need. And I'm like, I'm gonna explode because
Yeah.
everybody has these needs all at the same time. And like, it's my job to fill all of them. And it's
over a toy.
Hmm?
And you trip over a toy.
Oh, and then you trip over a toy. Or Maura got my girls, these adorable little laugh out loud, like surprise balls. We host every year a Christmas party. Santa comes to our house and all the kids are there and it's super fun, but I'm always sneaking Santa in because he comes later and then he changes and then he's got to come in. And I hope there's no kids on the call.
No, no kids.
Sorry.
I don't see any kids.
And so Maura had just given my girls these LOL dolls and they're all trying to get them open. So they're
noticed.
handing to me and Santa's here. And I'm like trying to keep it a secret and coordinate Santa and I'm hosting a party with all these people. And I mean, it was on my face. I'm sure like I was about to lose my fucking mind.
I was the guiltiest I've ever been. I was like, that was the worst scene of life.
Oh my God.
It was just like a timing. It was just, and they have a dad. They do have a dad, but if they know that, I don't think they do because he's out in the garage playing pool, drinking beer. And I'm like, motherfucker, get your ass in here. Like, what are you doing? So anyways, it's hard. Like you are their person for needs. I went
You are their
to
person.
Cancun in January for 5 days and they had to, without them, and they had to be with dad, be with grandma, be with caregiver. And when I got back, I heard Alex say, I think it was good for everybody. Cheryl needed it and the kids needed it because they were all at a phase where it was just mommy, 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 mommy. And when I got back, it was mommy or daddy. Like they remembered, it was like a check-in, like, oh, dad can do stuff for us
Dad
too.
can help us out.
So that was really powerful. So take time
So-
away from your family.
Yes.
You need to do that.
Take your space.
Being a working professional with children is no freaking joke.
Mhm.
It's multiple full-time jobs.
Mhm.
So just a lot of grace. And if you can
Mhm.
partner or, I highly recommend that. So my pro tips as a mom that I feel like I went from being like, I was the last of my friends to have kids. And then I had 3 kids so close that now I'm an expert and I can speak on this matter. So my number 1 tip is get an au pair. It's life changing. My second tip is to lower your standards because nothing is ever going to be what it used to be. And that's fine. Your house is going to be dirty. There's going to be fingerprints on the walls. Like who cares? We can paint later.
It's no perfection.
It's not perfection.
Mhm.
Give yourself grace and take self-care, whatever self-care looks like to you. If it is walking outside and taking a deep breath alone without your kids, that costs you $0. And you can do that all day long.
Mhm.
Or if it's a massage or whatever it might be, your self-care, like do that. Get a therapist, get a couples therapist, get an individual therapist and lean on them and use them. We have come across very hard times and I am always so grateful that we are like established with somebody who knows us, knows me, knows my husband. We see her together, we see her individually. When those hard things come up, like thank God we're not also now trying to find someone to help us because we have this person. And then my biggest tip is do not get a puppy. Don't get a puppy when you have kids. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
Do
it.
not get a puppy.
Don't do, and don't get 2 puppies at the same time. Okay. So let's see, in all things in life, I just want to encourage everybody to give yourself permission to pivot if something's no longer working for you. Remember things are happening for you and not to you. And then embrace and listen to all the nudges that you're getting
Exactly.
from the universe. So there's my wisdom Wednesday for you. That's the wisdom I have.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
my pleasure. I mean, I have a lot of wisdom around buying and selling a house, putting in competitive offer, short-term rental, au pairs. You can ask me anything about any of that, but I think it's like more just connecting and like we're all living our own life and sometimes we need nuggets. So I hope you got some out of that.
Thank you.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.